We are back for lesson 16, and it's really fun. I'm actually using one of my oldest Course in Miracles books. It's kind of beat up um, to move through this, but I don't know if you can see this in here. I have a lot of underlines in this lesson, so I'm excited to dig in here with you. Lesson 16, I have no neutral thoughts. The idea for today is a beginning step in dispelling the belief that your thoughts have no effect. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. There is no exception to this fact. Thoughts are not big or little, powerful or weak. They are merely true or false. Those that are true create their own likeness. Those that are false make theirs. There is no more self-contradictory concept than that of idle thoughts. What gives rise to the perception of a whole world can hardly be called idle. Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. Either it extends the truth or it multiplies illusions. You can indeed multiply nothing, but you will not extend it by doing so. Besides your recognizing that thoughts are never idle, salvation requires that you also recognize that every thought you have brings either peace or war, either love or fear. A neutral result is impossible because a neutral thought is impossible. There is such a temptation to dismiss fear thoughts as unimportant, trivial, and not worth bothering about, that it is essential you recognize them all as equally destructive, but equally unreal. We will practice this idea in many forms before you really understand it. In applying the idea for today, search your mind for a minute or so with eyes closed and actively seek not to overlook any little thought that may tend to elude the search. This is quite difficult until you get used to it. You will find that it is still hard for you not to make artificial distinctions. Every thought that occurs to you, regardless of the qualities that you assign to it, is a suitable subject for applying today's idea. In the practice periods, first repeat the idea to yourself, and then, as each one crosses your mind, hold it in your awareness while you tell yourself, this thought about blank is not a neutral thought. This thought about blank is not a neutral thought. As usual, use today's idea whenever you are aware of a particular thought that arouses uneasiness. The following form is suggested for this purpose. This thought about blank is not a neutral thought because I have no neutral thoughts. 4 or 5 practice periods are recommended. If you find them relatively effortless, if strain is experienced, 3 will be enough. The length of these exercise periods should also be reduced if there is some discomfort. So I love how the course is kind of giving us an out too. It's like, look, we know this is going to be hard for you. So if you're really uncomfortable, that's okay. You know, it's fine. It doesn't change the fact that you're on the road, that it's going to happen, that a return to your center is already there is an aspect of you that is already there. We're just closing in that bridge, that gap, that timeline so that you get to experience that version of you that you love to be with, that you feel calm, that you feel centered, at ease, clear, ready to roll. So I have no neutral thoughts. It's kind of interesting as a yoga instructor to kind of, you know, dig into this one because it's like one of the first steps in the practice of meditation is to just observe your thoughts and to observe them from a place of neutrality. So you're watching the thoughts go by and you're not investing yourself in any which one. But that's just one step. That's just one way because the truth of it is you're looking to be neutral, but the thoughts themselves are not neutral. You have no neutral thoughts. You can practice being neutral. You can practice being centered, but the thoughts that you have are either fear or love. So there's only two options that we have here. We're either in fear or we're in the state of love. So the course in this lesson is saying this is the beginning of kind of breaking down this idea that you think your thoughts don't matter. They do. They do matter. They're either bridging and extending more peace, love, and grace, or they're multiplying illusions. They're multiplying pain, discomfort, and all of that stuff. So again, we can observe our thoughts from a neutral place. We can go, wow, look at all these thoughts going by. There's one, there's one. Oh, that thought is not neutral. That's fear-based. Oh, wow, that's loving. And it's not from a place of judgment. It is again from that place. It's really important we make the distinction between judgment and observation. We're observing neutrally. We're seeing our patterning. We're seeing the way that our minds have been turning, and we're looking to stop the way that the mind has been turning, to see what's happening, to realize that our thoughts are creating our reality, and then to turn in the direction, to turn like a sunflower, to turn your face towards the light. All right. I think it's important because the course goes on to talk about in this lesson that, sometimes we just go, oh, that was crazy. Or, we just kind of like wish wash, wish wash. We just don't want to even deal. But it's important for us to realize that every thought matters. And if you're having a nagging thought that's negative or that's causing you pain, the way to dispel it is not to push it away or tuck it down under the rug. It's to look at it. It's to go, oh, okay, look at you. You're pretty negative. You're causing me some discomfort. And then start to look at like, how can I shift that? What does that, is that true? That's a good one. Is it real? Using your lessons from the past, this, meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Yes, you're a meaningless thought, but I'm going to look at you and say, you're released. You don't have to lead the show anymore. You're off the hook. This thought, it's not neutral. I have no neutral thoughts. The course really gives us, really teaches us about humility. And I think that's important because, we think we know. We think we know a lot of things. And on some level, that is true. I mean, we've made our way. We know, how the world operates. We know we can't walk out in the middle of the street. We know what happens when we eat certain foods. We know what happens when we don't take care of ourselves, when we don't sleep properly. But I like this. And I remember as a beginner student how important it was for me to learn from a place of like innocence. Like, I'm just a child. Like, I have no neutral thoughts. Like, wow. Immediately, the mind wants to argue with things, it wants to push back. But humility teaches us that you're like, you're right, I have no neutral thoughts. And I don't need to feel bad about that or guilty about that or anything. That is the purpose of this course. It's here to help us to correct that, dysfunctional thinking. But to be a student, to learn, to be open, even when we don't understand something, I think is a real skill set. And I think it's really, really useful and helpful as we continue to deepen our practice here with the Course in Miracles. Bye for now.